And a very good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in Army Football. Great to be back here at the Cadet First Class Club as we get set for Army taking on UMass coming up on Saturday afternoon at Michie Stadium. Noon kick time. A great crowd here tonight. Tons of staff from the Army West Point Athletic Department, our loyal fans making the trek as well. And just off the practice field, Army head coach Jeff Monken. And I'll tell you, less than 48 hours away from a game. This place is home every week for This Week in Army Football.
It is, and there is a great crowd here tonight. It's so nice to see everybody here tonight.
So we're going to start with the big news, unless you've been living under a rock following Army football. Yesterday, really what was rumored for the last 5-6 weeks or so becoming a reality. Army announcing it will join the American Athletic Conference as a football-only member beginning in 2024. A tremendous rollout. The commissioner, Mike Oresco, making the trek up to West Point. I know there was a meeting with your players' administration. Jeff, number one, congratulations on the move to the conference. And how do you feel about it?
Well, congratulations are in order to West Point, this institution. It's a move to benefit the United States Military Academy, and it's far bigger than me or our players or our team. It's a move that I think is going to be positive for this institution. So we're excited about the opportunity to join the league. It obviously has nothing to do with what's going on with this season right now. We got other fish to fry, as they say. There's that league has been, in terms of their success in the top 25 and the conversations about an expanded playoff and the New Year's 6 bowl games. They've been, of 8 of the 10 years that they've been a conference, they've been in a New Year's 6 game. So it's a conference where there is a road to other championships and other opportunities for our players beyond just being in a bowl game, playing for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, which is still our number one goal and always will be. But to have a chance to play for a conference championship, beat a conference and be in that conversation. So it's exciting from that standpoint. But as I said, we didn't allow it to be a distraction yesterday. We got right back to work, and what's important right now is getting ready for UMass.
Army, a football-only member, one of 14 football-only members in 2024. Navy, also a member of the American Athletic Conference, though Army and Navy will not play during the regular season. We'll keep the same second Saturday in December date for the traditional Army-Navy game presented by USAA. If Army and Navy finish 1 and 2 in the conference standings, Army and Navy would play the American Athletic Conference Championship game the first Saturday in December at a campus site, whichever Army or Navy was the number one team, and then play the traditional Army-Navy game that includes all the pageantry, the uniforms, that kind of stuff the next week. So in case folks wondering what will happen with the Army-Navy rivalry, that's how it will play out.
Well, we'll see what happens when we get in the league.
No doubt. And Army, since 2018, 27 games against current members of the American Athletic Conference. Army 14 and 13 in those games. So, Jeff, we focus to what's more timely. And the conference, great to talk about, great to, maybe put it on a shelf here for a little bit, because the most important thing is the game coming up at Michie Stadium on Saturday afternoon. UMass comes to town, and this is a UMass team. I watched that opening Week 0 game against New Mexico State. UMass looked like they were turning the corner under Don Brown in his second year and his second turnaround as head coach of the Minutemen. They've had some tough breaks, some injuries since then, but I think folks have to remember this is a much more, due to the transfer portal, talented UMass team than we saw Thanksgiving weekend 1 year ago.
Certainly. 15 players on their team played at Power 5 schools prior to going to UMass. So that's really impressive that you'll have guys that they're not intimidated. They've been in the big stadiums and played against great players. And Don Brown's one of the best defensive coaches in the country, and it has had success in the past as a head coach. So he does a great job. He's turning it, and it takes time. I speak from experience. It takes time, but you can see a different football team this year than even they had a year ago. So a college football game is hard to win, and Saturday is going to be a hard game to win. So we're working really, really diligently to get our guys prepared and ready for a real battle on Saturday.
Don Brown, at his first time as UMass head coach, won the 1AA national championship in 1998, then served as defensive coordinator at a number of Power 5 schools, including Michigan, when you guys faced Michigan in 2019, and he had an analyst on his staff by the name of one Nate Woody.
Yes, he did, and so Nate's got a lot of experience with Don. I don't know if that's going to help us a whole lot on Saturday. We're hopeful that some of the information he has will, but we got to go play the game. The bottom line is the players have to execute, play their assignments, and play well fundamentally, and Don will have a well-coached, prepared football team. We have no doubt.
And Jeff, we're now into this second half of the season, and when I ask you what your team needs to focus on, it needs to be in the context of you've had a last 5 games that are as challenging as any 5-game stretch since you became Army coach.
I said it before the season that this stretch, I said it about our schedule in general, that it was the most difficult schedule, the most challenging schedule that we've had since I've been the head coach here. And that was backed up by, I guess, Brett McMurphy, I think, was the writer for ESPN, ranked our schedule number 24 most difficult schedule in the country, which there are now 68 Power 5 teams.
Yep.
And so that means if you do the math, over 40 teams that play Power 5 football.
At least.
That Brett McMurphy, who watches college football and watches every team, didn't think had a more difficult or more challenging schedule than ours. And in fact, there weren't any other group of 5 teams ahead of us. It was the most difficult group of 5 schedule. So these last 5 games, 2 reigning conference champions. So UTSA, who won Conference USA the last 2 years, Troy, who won the Sun Belt Conference last year, and 3 Power 5 games is a tough 5-game stretch. And I'd say probably there's not a group of 5 team in the country that's had a tougher stretch this year or will have a tougher stretch this year. But we still got another conference champion coming up in Holy Cross, and Coastal Carolina, who played for the league championship against Troy a year ago. So we got a challenging schedule, and we're not done. So we'll start with UMass this weekend, and like I said, it's going to be a heck of a fight.
And just to put into context those 5 opponents, UTSA now in the American, they very well could be in the American championship game and would be 1 win away from another conference title. Syracuse is on the verge of being bowl eligible. Troy is another strong team in the Sun Belt. They very well could win that league again. Boston College, they have a shot at being bowl eligible. And LSU, look, if they win out, they're going to play in a New Year's 6 games. So it's not just what those teams accomplished 1 year ago, it's what they're following it up and doing it this year. Jeff, you've talked about fundamentals. So if I ask you, hey, UMass is coming into town, what are you looking for out of your team? What does your team need to do to play well and to win this game in a couple days?
I'd like to see our team be more effective at sustaining blocks on offense and taking care of the ball. We have turned the ball over way, way too much. Fumbles, interceptions, and nothing frustrates me more than turning the ball over. And so we spend an inordinate amount of time working on ball security, guys carrying the football, trying to keep it in a secure position, teaching our quarterbacks to make good throws, smart throws, pulling it down and running with it, or throwing it out of bounds when the throw isn't there, trying not to force plays, and to tackle better on defense. We've missed some tackles, and it's hard to tackle LSU. It's hard to tackle the number 1 rushing running back in the country, which Troy had. I mean, it's a challenge, and you turn on the best teams in the country, Alabama and LSU, and they miss tackles too.
Sure.
But we can't afford to miss as many tackles as we've had, and we've got to. That's fundamentals. Some of it's athleticism, but some of it's fundamentals, and what we can control in terms of the fundamental piece, we've got to control and do a good job with that, and block better, tackle better, and certainly take care of the ball better than we have.
We're here until 8 o'clock on This Week in Army Football, live from the Cadet First Class Club here at West Point, also on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. If you have questions, drop them into the comment section of our Facebook Live broadcast. We will get to them. And back again on the wireless, a great attendance for Corey this year. I know I missed a couple last year.
I'm doing
great
good this year.
attendance so far this
I'm
year,
doing
Corey.
good this year.
Good to see you, Corey.
Good to see you guys. But yeah, to mimic what Rich said, you guys have questions, drop them in the comments. Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Let's get them answered by Coach.
So we continue what has been a great addition to This Week in Army Football, our weekly trivia contest.
Okay.
And again, the brainchild of one Ryan Panny, who, he'll get a round of applause from the folks behind the camera here. Thank you for everyone who is participating. So here is our first question of the night. And there's the QR code, scan it. We're looking for accuracy and speed on the answer. 2019, Army defeated UMass 63-7 at Mikey Stadium. Remember that game very well. Who for Army scored 3 touchdowns in that game? Who had the trifecta against UMass in 2019?
Wow, I got to think about that myself.
I didn't know. You know what? My first instinct didn't get it, and then I don't count like second guesses.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah,
I
didn't. I didn't know who it was. So chew on that. QR code, answer it, speed and accuracy. And we're going to lead into next segment, our special guest. And many times joined by an Army football player. Tonight we're going to be joined by a former Army West Point cadet athlete who works so much with your program to bring these great future leaders here to West Point. That's going to be Director of Admissions, Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee.
And I am looking forward to having him on the show. We work very closely together, and he does a tremendous job, not just with our team, but all the teams here at West Point, and obviously tied to our volleyball program pretty closely.
He is tied quite tightly to the volleyball. But we're going to get to that, and also a good friend, Rance Lee. We're going to look forward to this coming up in just a moment here on This Week in Army Football, live from the Cadet First Class Club at West Point. Back in just a moment right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
He may not turn out to be a black belt or play Carnegie Hall,
He'll take the chicken fingers.
but with the money you earn from your Penn-Fed checking and savings accounts,
He's growing up. Look at him.
your goal of supporting his dreams will always be worth it.
I got it.
PenFed's got great rates for everyone.
When pain wants to keep you on the sidelines, know you have options to keep you doing what you love. As one of the world's leading medical technology companies, Stryker offers innovative foot and ankle products that help you get back in the game and on your feet. Stryker and Army West Point Athletics have joined forces to help you learn more about foot and ankle pain and provide you resources so you can find a specialist in your area. Visit Stryker.com/WestPoint to learn more.
At the United States Military Academy, you're on the team from day one.
A team where people are the #1 priority and winning matters.
A team of scholars, athletes, and leaders, each striving to become all that they can be.
Are you ready to join our team?
West Point, where leaders are made.
Attention veterans. You can shop tax-free for life. Come home to your military exchanges for tax-free shopping, exclusive pricing, and free shipping options. 100% of earnings go back to military communities, keeping today's military ready and resilient. You served. You sacrificed. You earned this benefit. Visit shopmyexchange.com/vets to shop and save today.
And welcome back to This Week in Army Football. Eisenhower Hall Theater at West Point is back with a full season of entertainment. Enjoy Broadway musicals, plays, family-friendly shows for the little ones, and live concerts. Visit iCall.com. Save up to 20% with a season subscription. Get your tickets now at iCall.com. That's iCall.com. Time now for our special guest here on This Week in Army Football. Black Knights taking on UMass coming up on Saturday afternoon, noon kick time at Mikey Stadium. Airtime across the Army Sports Network at 10 a.m. with the Army Football Tailgate Show. And Jeff Monken, I know someone who is very important to you and your program, a track and field star during his time here at West Point class of 1997, now a lieutenant colonel, director of admissions here at the United States Military Academy. How about This Week in Army Football? Welcome Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee joining us. Rance, you're a celebrity. Look at this. Look at the outpouring of support for you. Jeff, from your perspective, Rance Lee and what he does, how important is it to This Week in Army Football?
Well, number one, being Alma Kovasi's husband, it's the most important job he's got.
And that's how we'll frame it.
And let me tell you, and she's doing an awesome job as our volleyball coach. And we're just so glad to have Rance in the director position. He does a fantastic job. We bring in a lot of guys, and we bring a lot of guys to the admissions office, and just the work that they do to help us find and attract the right kinds of guys here to join our program. He does an incredible job. So just having that experience as a student athlete here, a cadet athlete, and now having a spouse that coaches here, he is woven into the fabric of our athletic department and just a part of our team and a part of our community here. So glad to have him in that seat. And this poor guy, he had some big shoes to fill. Deb McDonald was awesome for so many years, but they couldn't have found a better replacement.
That's some intro. That's some lead-in, Rance.
I appreciate that. I'll pay you afterwards.
So just like you told me to say it.
Rance, take us through. We heard Jeff mention it. Take us through your role in director of admissions here at the academy, and how you're able to use what you do applying to athletes in football.
Yeah. So as the director of admissions, I oversee the recruitment and matriculation of 1,200 cadets every year from a pool of about 12,000. So it's a lot of work, but I have a great team, that gets it down to the folks who we really want to bring in. It ultimately will benefit West Point and ultimately the Army, because our contract with the Army is we will give them between 900 and 1,000 second lieutenants every year. And in terms of athletes, a quarter of the folks that we bring in any class are recruited athletes. And I'll tell you, as a former recruited athlete myself, I think that what the recruited athletes, the football players, the cross-country runners, the volleyball players bring to the Corps is invaluable. And the fact that they have to not only, pass their classes, excel militarily, but they also have to win on the field, and that's super important. They have to learn how to be effective time managers early on, because you're right out, particularly for a fall sport like football, you're right out there, from the start of classes, through the end of that semester.
You mentioned it, being a former cadet athlete, as was Deb McDonald, who you took over for. She was a volleyball player some years back. How does that give you an insight into the importance of the cadet athlete and what they bring to the Corps at large?
So, as a former, athlete, I just, the lessons I learned down at the track, and out there on the field, were just invaluable.
Ron Basil taught him to you.
Yes, Ron Basil, was my coach, the guy who recruited me, and the guy I ran for 2 years. And he was a tough guy. He was not necessarily an easy guy to like all the time. But you know what? I respected him, and he won. My plebe year, our cross-country team went out and finished 6th in the NCAAs. That was
impressive.
I remember at the meet at Lehigh, I did not run in that meet because I was not one of the top 7, but I was there watching. And I remember when they put the scores up, and Army was 6th over some very, very good teams. There was a lot of shock and surprise out there. But, that team, they gelled. They had not beaten Navy in any competition across 4 years until their senior year. And they went out and, they got it done. They really did.
Jeff, what's your interaction with Rance and his office on whether it's a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
Fortunately, I've got staff members in the football department that do all of that for me and for us. And Rance's office, and he's got personnel in his office that work with us. There's 30 varsity sports. So that's a lot of people. It's a lot of prospects coming through the queue and a lot of conversations that need to be had. And we've got people in our office that that's their area of expertise. And they know our prospects, they know the transcripts, they know all of the credentials that they have, the high schools that they're coming from, and they're able to have those conversations. So fortunately, what I do is I evaluate and recruit, and when we get them to the admissions office, then they work with our folks to figure out what needs to happen for them to gain admission. And sometimes they can't gain admission. And what's great is we do a pretty good job of vetting those prospects, and we send prospects that we know are going to be the kinds of folks that can compete in our classrooms, compete on our athletic fields, and are going to be the leaders that we want in the Army. So most often it's just working with our admissions office on taking the right steps to be able to get them into school.
And Rance, I know you haven't been in this position very, very long, but to me there has to be a feeling of maybe there's a cadet candidate that is right there on the borderline, right? And they get in, and then you're maybe able to see them, whether it's a year in, a couple of years in, thriving. That must be, if it hasn't happened already, going to be a very, very rewarding feeling.
No, that's absolutely the case. So there's one kid that comes to mind. He was a soldier, and he was my prep school roommate's driver. And he calls me one day, and he's like, "Hey, I got this guy. He's great." And he applies, and I'm like, I cannot do anything with this kid. There's just nothing there. So he's like, all right, he's young enough. I'll come back next year. So he came back next year, and the kid, seriously, he had one of the lowest scores on paper of anyone who we admitted, that year. The kid, we sent him to the prep school. He thrived at the prep school, finished in the top 10 of the prep school, and is thriving here. He's in his Cal year now. So so that's and you see that across the board. And I'll just say, Coach Monken and all the coaches here, they do such a fabulous job of identifying kids who not only can help them win, but are also going to be good kids, leaders in the Corps, and ultimately great officers in the Army.
Tremendous responsibility, and really the thought that cadets come in as leaders. Of course, we know that, but the fact of what West Point can do for them, it can't be illustrated any more than those kind of stories and those kind of cadets, those people, and those future officers. So, Rance, now the important part of the interview. So, big volleyball weekend, senior day coming up on Sunday. What is your role with the volleyball program?
I try to, my wife, she's got the coaching thing down. She's, I'm a little biased, but I think she's just a tremendous coach, probably one of the best in the country. So my role is just to support. It is to support in any way. If the kids need some mentoring, on the officer side, if I need to watch the kids because we have an 18-month-old and a 6-year-old, then I do that. I'm just there to support her in whatever way, I can.
Well, Rance, we appreciate all that you do for the Academy, of course, the football team, and just being such a positive influence around staff and everyone here at West Point. Thank you for spending some time with us here on the show.
No, this was great. Coach, best of luck against UMass.
Thanks a lot.
And we'll have Rance on again next year. That is Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee, Director of Admissions here at West Point, 1997 West Point graduate. Now, time for our second trivia question of the night. Now, we're just lobbing softballs at this point, okay? They're just legitimate softballs.
All right,
okay?
toss it up there.
Okay, so you got your QR code. We're looking for speed and accuracy. Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee is married to which award-winning Army coach?
Well,
you can't make it any easier.
No, I gave that one away already.
I mean, the difficulty level is just shot right down.
Anybody misses that one, they haven't been listening.
First one was tough. First question I thought I got wrong. The first one in my mind. So, hey, Rance, we appreciate some time Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee joining us here on This Week in Army Football. When we come back, 30 minutes of your questions for the Black Knights head coach. Army and UMass coming up on Saturday. We'll be back in just a moment right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
So yeah, USAA, they always have my back.
USAA? You were in the military?
Oh no, I wasn't, but my grandpa was. He joined USAA, passed membership to my mom, then to me.
There's other ways to get in?
Yeah. My neighbor Ron, he's in because his wife served. Even little Luna, once she's born, her dad served.
So all this time I could have had USAA insurance.
And banking.
Where's my phone?
Over there.
USAA, for the military community and their families.
Meet the Chevy ZR2 family. They'll never let you down. With features like DSSV dampers, MT tires, and an off-road performance display. When the going gets tough, it's a family you can count on. Introducing the Silverado, Colorado, and Silverado HD ZR2 family of trucks.
The finalists for the William V. Campbell Trophy, which is college football's premier scholar athlete award, otherwise known as the academic Heisman. This is a guy that has to excel both on the field and in the classroom. The absolute best in the nation for combined academic success, football performance. One of 16 finalists out of a pool of 200 scholar athletes, Leo Loman.
When pain wants to keep you on the sidelines, know you have options to keep you doing what you love. As one of the world's leading medical technology companies, Stryker offers innovative foot and ankle products that help you get back in the game and on your feet. Stryker and Army West Point Athletics have joined forces to help you learn more about foot and ankle pain and provide you resources so you can find a specialist in your area. Visit Stryker.com/WestPoint to learn more.
At the United States Military Academy, you're on the team from day one.
A team where people are the #1 priority and winning matters.
A team of scholars, athletes, and leaders, each striving to become all that they can be.
Are you ready to join our team?
West Point, where leaders are made.
Audience ready in 5, 4, 3.
Army football is brought to you by West Point Family and MWR. FMWR offers horseboarding, golfing, skiing, catering, camping, and many more activities and programs. Visit westpoint.armymwr.com for more information. Rolling right along here on This Week in Army Football. Great to spend some time with Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee. What a good guy.
A great guy, does a great job.
Now, the time you've all been waiting for. Questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken. Of course, lots of news this week. Army joining the American Athletic Conference as a football-only member beginning in 2024. Army and UMass coming up on Saturday afternoon at Mikey Stadium, a noon kick time, airtime across the Army Sports Network at 10 a.m. with the Army Football Tailgate Show. Corey, time now for our first question of the night, and it is awesome to see Jerry back.
I could not agree more. So I'm going to pass the mic along to him.
Coach, how do you keep from getting too down after that LSU game?
You know, Jerry, it's hard not to get down when you lose, when you invest so much and put so much into something. Competitive people are going to get down, but it's not about getting down; it's getting back up. And so I really just try to focus on the next opportunity and the next game, the next practice, and get our guys and our team to do that too, because they're disappointed. It's hard to lose like that, but Jerry, that was a great football team. That was, in my career, 35 years of coaching, the most talented football team that I've faced. And I've coached teams that played against Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Florida State, Clemson. That was the most talented team that I've ever faced. They had guys everywhere, and they were enormous. I mean, you see a guy that's 6'6", 340 pounds, and right next to him is another one, and guys that are fast and long. But the difference is those guys are all going to make millions of dollars playing football a year from now or 2 years from now, and our guys are going to be second lieutenants in the Army doing an important job. And so we're different. We're different physically. That doesn't mean we can't win the game, and we've come really close in some of those big games, but they just outmatched us. They were a really good football team, so credit to LSU, and I hope they win the rest of them.
Jeff, one of the storylines going into the game was the first collegiate start for your freshman quarterback, Champ Harris, with Bryson Daly injured, unable to make the trip after the Troy game. And numbers aside, your assessment of the maturity and what Champ Harris able to gain from starting, playing a half down there in Death Valley?
Every time a guy plays, I think he has a chance to improve, and Champ has. He obviously got thrown into the mix against Troy when Bryson went down. And then, first start of his career, here you go. Here's the LSU Tigers in Death Valley, and you're 18 years old and you're playing high school ball last year. That's not easy to do, but he's got the ability. He's talented enough. He's just got to grow. He's got to grow in his decision making. He's got to grow in his ability to read the defenses, read players when we're running the option. Leading our team, and I think he's got a great future and a great career ahead of himself. And what was great was we got to play some other guys too. We got to play Larry Robinson, who's another freshman quarterback, and we got to play Dwayne Coleman, who's a sophomore quarterback. So they got some valuable experience. And there were some mistakes made. Champ made some errors, and Larry made some errors, and so they're going to get better. They're hopefully going to learn from it. Unfortunately, we got out of there with both of those guys healthy, because obviously having Bryson Daly banged up a little bit, we want to go in this game with some healthy quarterbacks. So I anticipate those guys are going to play again.
Any decision made on who'll be, if not under center, in the shotgun for that first play on Saturday?
Well, Daly is getting better. He is getting better daily. And every day he's felt better and better. He's practiced this week. He practiced yesterday and today, which is positive. And we're going to practice him again tomorrow. And we'll have a chance to see him in warm-ups. And if he's continued to improve, he'll be our quarterback. He's got the most experience, and he's the most ready quarterback that we have. And if not, then we've got Champ and Larry and Dwayne, and those guys will be lined up ready to go.
Next question for Coach Monken.
All right, Coach, this one is from Anthony John, one of our loyal listeners. He said, with Air Force right around the corner, how important is it to keep the team focused on UMass?
I always, I'm always amazed that people ask about looking ahead or thinking about another game. We are so desperate for a win. We've lost 4 games in a row, and we lost to Syracuse, who's got very talented football team, and we were ahead in the first half. I thought our guys played their butts off in the first half. And in the second half of the Boston College game, we gave ourselves a chance to win. We could have found a way had we made one more play in that game. We didn't, and it's disappointing. We lost to Troy, who I think's got an outstanding football team, a terrific defense, the best team in their league a year ago. That's a team that's won 17 games in the last 2 seasons, and this one's only halfway over. So they've had tremendous success. And then LSU, one of the most talented teams in the country. So when you go through a stretch like that, the disappointment that comes with that, what you want is to win a football game. Our guys, I assure you, aren't focused on anything but trying to play their best this Saturday and trying to beat UMass, which will not be an easy task.
And I know, Jeff, it means a lot to you and this team to get a win under their belt at Michie Stadium.
Well, any win at this point would be a great win, but there is a source of pride playing at home, and we don't want to lose at home. We've lost twice already here, and frankly, that's we've had so much success here over the last several years playing in Michie Stadium. It has become a real source of pride in our program to win at home. So we're anxious to get out there on Saturday and to prove our worth.
Army and UMass coming up on Saturday afternoon at Michie Stadium. Noon kick time. We'll have more questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken coming up in just a moment right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
I think he forgot it. Yeah, he just decided amongst himself to not do it, Tony. It was weird. Ryan had the graphic ready and everything. He almost flashed the QR code. It happens, but I got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name.
And loans, plus advice and other perks.
Only for emergencies. Thanks, Mom.
And it's all in one spot. So we know she's all set because we've got USAA.
USAA, more than you might think, for the military community and their families.
He may not turn out to be a black belt or play Carnegie Hall,
He'll take the chicken fingers.
but with the money you earn from your PenFed checking and savings accounts,
2 minutes till we're back. 2 minutes.
supporting his dreams will always be worth it.
I got it.
PenFed's got great rates for everyone.
When pain wants to keep you on the sidelines, know you have options to keep you doing what you love. As one of the world's leading medical technology companies, Stryker offers innovative foot and ankle products that help you get back in the game and on your feet. Stryker and Army West Point Athletics have joined forces to help you learn more about foot and ankle pain and provide you resources so you can find a specialist in your area. Visit Stryker.com/WestPoint to learn more.
And welcome back to the Cadet First Class Club. This week in Army football, Army West Point Athletics would like to thank its restaurant and tavern partners, Brothers Barbecue and O'Toole's Pub. Check out the restaurant and tavern partners portion of GoArmyWestPoint.com for more information. Support those who support the Corps. So we forgot to do it last segment as we closed out, so we'll begin this segment with our third trivia question of the night.
Send it.
Okay, we have the QR code up there. We want speed. We want accuracy. In honor of Army rejoining a conference by going to the American Athletic Conference, who was Army's last conference game against?
Oh.
I actually knew this one.
How about that one? Okay, I don't know that one.
They had a quarterback by the name of Daryl Hackney. That's your. Never forget Daryl Hackney. I liked him. Good player. So that's your question. Who was Army's last ever conference game against? So now, more questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken. This hour goes by so fast each and every week. Corey, I know you're working Facebook Live, the comments.
Tirelessly.
Folks here. It is. It is.
Somebody's got to do it, Rich.
You're right.
Somebody's got to do
job.
it, and it's me. So, okay, here we are. All right, so Coach, you actually touched on this earlier. So Connor Stack wants to know, with Champ Harris making his first career start this weekend at QB, how did you prepare him for that start in this role, especially in Tiger Stadium?
Like we do every week. He got the majority of the reps with the offense. We spend a good bit of time in the classroom, in front of the film, and we have walkthroughs throughout the week. The amount of time that our players spend on football, I think would really surprise most people. The time that they spend in our building. And it isn't always in meetings or lifting or practice, just the preparation for practice. But when we sit down at 2:30 in the afternoon and we start our meetings, it's film, it's chalk talk, it's discussions about fundamentals, about defenses we're going to see or offenses we're going to see, the special teams meetings, the unit meetings, the walkthroughs, the practices. There's a lot of time that those guys spend getting prepared for a game. So he's had, obviously, all preseason camp. He's gotten a lot of reps through the season, so it wasn't as if when he became the starter, all of a sudden he gets to practice with the starting offense or the number 2 offense. He's been getting a lot of reps as it is. So we felt like he'd be as prepared as he could be. Obviously, the lack of experience and being 18 years old, that doesn't make it easy. But there's young guys in college football that get thrown into those positions. And for what he had to do, I thought he really did a good job. And it helped him mature, and it will be to his benefit and our benefit as we go through his career and throughout this season and seasons to come.
Jeff, of course, Champ Harris' first collegiate start this past Saturday at LSU. How about another fine freshman in your offensive backfield? Kanye Udo's second straight 100-yard game, got the start as well. So you had freshman, center, quarterback, running back in that game. We talked last week about the improvement that Kanye Udo had over the first half of this season. What did you think from Troy to LSU, his improvement?
Hey, just the confidence that he's running the ball with right now. A very physical runner, and he's getting better at finding the gaps and finding the seams based on the blocks. The more he plays, the more he learns where those blocks are going to be coming from. He's going to be able to strike a lot faster. So what's been really impressive is how he's broken tackles both against Troy, who I think's got an excellent defense, and LSU, who's got great players. So I'm excited about him and the future he's got with our program.
Next question for Coach Monken.
All right, Coach, this one is from Steve Rothup. This will be the last time I bring up Air Force, I swear. This will be the last time.
So you say?
Yeah, allegedly, that'll be the last time. Okay, so Army-Navy is always at a neutral site. Would you like to see Army-Air Force go back to playing games alternating at their home stadiums?
I want to play those games at Mikey Stadium. Where we play them, it makes no difference to me. It could be out on 9W. We'll play them anywhere. But I like to play at Mikey Stadium, so that rivalry, I hope, will remain for our home games here at Mikey Stadium.
Jeff, didn't you offer that back in 2020?
Play anywhere.
To play, right?
Anywhere.
So this year's Army Air Force game will be at Empower Field at Mile High, home of the Denver Broncos. Like, I know it makes no difference to you, but playing out there is just...
Makes no difference.
Makes no difference.
It's a 100-yard field, and they're all the same, so it'll be two teams that are going to play really, really hard and want to win desperately, and that's what makes it such a great game and a great rivalry.
That game a week from Saturday, Army's Commander-in-Chief's Trophy season will begin with a game against Air Force out in Denver, and the Falcons won the first leg of the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy race with a 17-6 win at Navy this past Saturday. So as we head to break, and we're going to have more questions for Jeff Monken coming out of the break, our final trivia question of the night. QR code, speed, and accuracy. During Army football games, when Army scores, the cadets will drop and do push-ups. During Army's 37-29 win at UTSA, so really we're looking at the Rabs and some maybe Spirit Band members, how many push-ups did the cadets do in total? That's a pretty good one.
You got to do some math.
And you got to
know the scores.
You got to know the box score.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I go to box scores of Super Bowls, and it's
going to take a while for people to get this
score.
one. It's going to take a little searching on the internet for folks that are playing this trivia game.
And I'm confident Ryan Panny tabulated it correctly. I am cautiously confident.
I'm sure Ryan got it.
No doubt about that. When we come back, one more round of questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken here on This Week at Army Football, live from the Cadet First Class Club here at West Point, right here on the Army Sports Network from Deerfield.
USAA? Yeah, they have awesome rates on coverage for our car, home, and stuff. She has a lot of stuff.
Dad.
A lot of cool stuff, honey. But USAA also has banking, credit cards, and loans. Plus advice and other perks.
Only for emergencies. Thanks, Mom.
And it's all in one spot. So we know she's all set because we've got USAA.
USAA, more than you might think, for the military community and their families.
He may not turn out to be a black belt or play Carnegie Hall,
He'll take the chicken fingers.
but with the money you earn from your PenFed checking and savings accounts,
He's growing up. Look at him.
your goal of supporting his dreams will always be worth it.
I got it.
PenFed's got great rates for everyone.
When pain wants to keep you on the sidelines, know you have options to keep you doing what you love. As one of the world's leading medical technology companies, Stryker offers innovative foot and ankle products that help you get back in the game and on your feet. Stryker and Army West Point Athletics have joined forces to help you learn more about foot and ankle pain and provide you resources so you can find a specialist in your area. Visit Stryker.com/WestPoint to learn more.
Ready in 5, 4, 3.
Back one more time here on This Week at Army Football. Army taking on UMass coming up on Saturday. Noon kick time at Michie Stadium. Airtime across the Army Sports Network at 10 a.m. with the Army Football Tailgate Show. Broadcasting live along Black Knight's Alley outside of Gate 1. We have time for one more round of questions, maybe 3 questions here in this segment. So, Corey, let's get them going to Army head coach Jeff Monken.
All right, Coach. This one is from Stephen Davis. He said, how do you think joining the American Conference will affect the team in terms of recruiting versus being independent?
I don't know that recruiting is going to change a whole lot for us. And it's just the nature of who we are as an institution and a program. We're going to have the same pool of guys. And we're not going to be able to go head-to-head with the Power Fives. It's just not as great a school as this is and as much success as we've had. There is just something different about being a cadet and going to a military school. And there are certain young men who are open to that and some that aren't. And we find the ones that are, and we recruit them. So I think it'll be the same. I think the proof is in looking at our other academy rivals. They're both in conferences right now, and we go head-to-head for the same guys. And I don't feel like there's an advantage for them at this point, us being independent and them being in a conference, that they're flocking to the teams that are in a conference. So I don't think it's going to affect it greatly.
Jeff, the offense, right, which was a big talking point during the offseason heading into this season, going from the traditional triple option to this gun option. And a lot's been made of being in a conference, whether talking about Navy, what have you, that you lose an advantage of having an offense like that when teams see you every year. Do you think changing the offense to a gun option gives you an advantage, or at least offsets the disadvantage of running a triple and having teams see you regularly?
No, I don't. I think teams in your league are going to get familiar with you regardless of what you do. The under center option is a fantastic offense. I love it. I mean, I did that from 1997 through 2022. That's a long time to run the same offense. And it's been a great offense. You watch Paul Johnson. Paul Johnson ran that offense for years, and he gave people headaches every year. The difference is the blocking rules have changed. And the way that we ran the triple option and how we relied on blocking those linebackers with blocks below the waist and the perimeter blocks, but especially the blocks inside the tackle box, changes who we are and who we were as an offense. And I really felt like this move was the right move for us. The personnel that we can get, the teams that we're going to face, especially the academy games, and the familiarity that they have with the under center option, that this was going to be the right move for us. Some growing pains right now, but we played some really good football teams, and I see improvement even through those games. I'm seeing improvement, so I'm encouraged. And the one thing it does, lining up in more traditional, whatever traditional football is now, more traditional formations like other people do, you get a better idea of how defenses are going to be structured. Yep. And that was always a toss-up, and you had this question mark over your head going into every game with the under center option.
And that's going to do it with questions. We just go through this show so quickly. Now, the time we're going to get answers to the trivia questions tonight. So, okay, 2019, Army defeated UMass. Oh, we got to be quick on this one. Army defeated UMass 63-7 at Michie Stadium. Who scored 3 touchdowns for Army?
Santa McCoy, jersey number 3.
Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee, married to which award-winning Army coach?
Already said it, Almakovasi Lee.
That might be the easiest question in the history of This Week in Army Football. In honor of Army.
The best volleyball coach in the country.
Yes. Patriot League champion in the spring of 21. Honor of Army Football rejoining a conference. Who was Army's last conference game
against?
Don't know. UAB.
There you go.
Daryl Hackney. I was a big fan of Hackney. During Army football games, cadets do push-ups after Army scores. Army beat UTSA 37-29. How many push-ups did they do?
No idea.
I'm not smart enough to do the math. 148 push-ups.
You can get strong doing that.
We'd like to thank everyone tonight. Steve Tucker from Army West Point Sports Properties, making it all happen. We have Jimmy, Brittany, and Tony keeping us on the air. Ryan Panic doing a great job with trivia questions and coming up with our video stream for Facebook Live and YouTube TV. We'd like to thank our special guest, Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee, Army's Director of Admissions. For Corps Younghands, Army Head Coach Jeff Monken, Rich DeMarco saying so long from the Cadet First Class Club here on This Week in Army Football. It's Army taking on UMass coming up Saturday afternoon at noon. Have a great night, everyone.